All right, every Monday we do a deep dive into what your elected officials are up to. And after starting with Iowa in our first half hour, we are now turning to Illinois. Last week, the House and Senate approved hundreds of bills ahead of a deadline this past Friday. So we have Brendan Moore, State House reporter with Capitol News Illinois, here to explain some of the bills that are still alive this legislative session. All right, Brendan, thanks for being with us. Let's start with a bill that Governor J.B. Pritzker has been pushing pretty heavily. He wants to ban cell phone usage in schools. What's happening with this one?
Yeah, so the governor first proposed this in his State of the State address last year. It passed through the Senate, but didn't get a House vote. Well, last week that changed. It got a House vote, and it was amended. Basically, this would enact or require school districts to enact a ban on students using cell phones in the classroom. They would have some leeway to kind of enact their own policies. So it would have to be bell to bell for elementary and middle school students, but it would allow some discretion to allow for high school students to have their phones during passing periods and lunch.
Well, let's stick with education. Current law requires Illinois history classes to not just focus on the history of white Europeans. I mean, students must also learn about the American history of other ethnic groups. We're talking African Americans, Native Americans, Italians, Russians, Germans, the Irish, there's a whole bunch. But there is a new push to add another group to that long list. What's going on here?
Yeah, so a new bill in the House that passed last week would add Latin Americans to that long list. So the House sponsor, say Rep. Evedina Delgado from Chicago, said that this is a more inclusive term. There's already the term Hispanic in there, but Latin American encompasses all of South America, including Brazil, and not just people who are from Spanish-speaking backgrounds. So this kind of moves in the direction of kind of more of an inclusive curriculum. We've seen it recently with the teaching of Asian American history and Native American history have all been added in recent years.
All right, Brendan, let's turn to the roads. If you have gotten your license suspended for speeding, Illinois lawmakers want to make you slow down. How can they do that?
Yeah, they can do this a bill passed that would allow for a speed monitoring system to be put into your vehicle in lieu of having your license suspended. This would allow for people who maybe have driving violations to be able to still access their vehicle. It would basically whatever the speed limit is when you're on the road, it would kind of cap you at that speed. So it's a way for people to still get to work and still get around, even if they have the license suspended for infractions like speeding over 26 miles per hour over the speed, or having other infractions that would qualify.
Yeah, we really want to be clear. This is only for people, or the way that the bill is written now, it's only for people that have been caught excessively speeding more than once and had their license suspended for it. But there's another bill I want to talk about that has already passed the House. It's now heading to the Senate, and it's all about getting custody of your pet. What is this one about?
Yeah, so it's kind of that area where, obviously in divorce cases that it's already kind of something that is on the table, that, it's one of those things that you can fight over in court, but it's not available, say, if you have a roommate or you're just a couple who's not married. So this bill would try to address that. It would allow for folks basically to go to court to determine custody of a pet if you're not married. It kind of extends almost as if you're in a divorce case. So it would allow for the courts to consider, I guess, who's been responsible for caring for the pet, who's been paying for the pet, the emotional bond, and also it takes into consideration the documentation of who actually bought the animal.
Interesting. I guess I would have assumed there was already something on the books about this. I thought that was really interesting when I saw it pop up on the bill list. But another bill that is very interesting is also heading to the Senate. This one's all about CPR. And I want to talk about why this would be of particular note to women.
Yeah, so this bill would basically require students in secondary school, kind of when they're going through their health class, the opportunity to learn CPR on breasted mannequins, and the idea being to simulate saving the life of a woman, and because, as you know, most of these mannequins are male anatomy, but women also have incidences where CPR needs to be applied, and so this would kind of be more of an inclusive curriculum, and potentially could help save the lives of women who, for instance, in cardiac arrest, are more likely to die than men. So it's looking to help address those disparities, at least in a small way.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up those stats because it is a noticeable jump. Women are 27% less likely to survive if they need CPR assistance. And a lot of it has to do with the way that people are uncomfortable working with CPR on women. But the last thing I want to talk to you about is a little bit lighter. Last week, we talked about a measure to add an official state B to Illinois. And just in the commercial break, you were telling me there's another push to add something else official, a state sandwich. Maybe even two? What's going on here?
Yeah, so this is a bill that came from some House staffers at a Christmas party. They came up with this fun idea of, we don't have a state sandwich, so we should change that. So they wrote a bill that would create a state sandwich, which would be the Italian beef, which, as we all know, is a Chicago delicacy, very tasty. But there was some controversy about it because, as anybody that's visited Springfield knows, the capital city has its own sandwich, the horseshoe, which is a heart attack on a plate. I won't even describe what's on it. But so there was a compromise. The Italian beef would be the state sandwich, and the horseshoe would be the official open face sandwich. So that one passed the House and went over to the Senate. And just for everybody's clarification, it was asked in debate, is a hot dog a sandwich? And the answer was no. So we're not even considering whether the hot dog, the Chicago dog, can be the state sandwich.
I love it. We'll be make sure to see where that bill goes. Brendan, thank you so much for joining us here today. I really appreciate your time.
Shelby.
And for you guys at home, we have our political coverage for both states up on our website underneath the As Seen on TV tab.